There are 12 secret Florida gemstone spots you won't believe exist, and most people drive right past them every year. Florida. You know Florida. Beaches, theme parks, humidity you could chew. This is not a state you picture when someone says gemstones or fossils or hidden treasure. But here's the contradiction nobody talks about. Florida is sitting on top of one of the most extraordinary fossil and mineral archives on the planet. Ancient shark teeth, fossilized gemstones. The bones of mastodons and creatures that haven't walked the earth for 3 million years. Almost all of it is free to pick up, legal to keep, and hiding in riverbeds and salt marshes stretching hundreds of miles in every direction. So here's the question. If all of this has been sitting here the whole time, why doesn't anyone know? Florida doesn't look like ancient history. Drive across the state and you see flatness, swamps, suburbs. Nothing screams geological drama. But tens of millions of years ago, Florida was a shallow tropical seafloor teeming with prehistoric sharks and ancient coral reefs. That sea retreated, advanced, retreated again. Each time it pulled back, it left behind layers: calcium, silica, phosphate, bone, teeth, compressed into the limestone that forms the foundation of the entire state. Florida isn't just sitting on rock, it's sitting on a biological archive stretching back 50 million years. These 12 spots are where that archive breaks the surface. Spot 12 sits on the southwest Gulf Coast of Florida, in a town most people blow through on the way to somewhere else. Venice, Florida. Population under 25,000. Official title: the shark tooth capital of the world. Not marketing. A geological fact backed up by what washes onto that beach every single day. The seafloor just offshore is blanketed in fossilized shark teeth, black and gray, stained dark by millions of years of burial in sediment. Casperson Beach, just south of the main strip, is where serious collectors go. The surf zone runs directly over fossil-bearing deposits, and every wave tumbles more material onto the sand. No permit, no fee. Just show up and look down. The Venice Shark's Tooth Festival draws more than 100,000 visitors annually, and the megalodon teeth, from the largest predatory shark that ever lived, still surface on that beach, 7 inches long, right now, free. But here's what nobody told you. The best finds happen at low tide on weekday mornings, before anyone else gets there. Spot 11 takes you inland to one of the most productive fossil rivers in the world, the Peace River, cutting through Hardee, DeSoto, and Charlotte counties. Florida's interior is loaded with phosphate, ancient deposits that locked in bones and teeth with extraordinary precision. The Peace River cuts through Miocene and Pliocene sediments 5 to 23 million years old, and delivers what it finds onto sandbars where anyone with a screen and a bucket can work. Megalodon teeth, mastodon teeth the size of your fist, horse fossils, ray dental plates, all in the same afternoon. Mastodon and megalodon in the same gravel bar, separated by millions of years of extinction, waiting side by side. Access is by canoe or kayak. Outfitters in the area run trips specifically for fossil hunters. Collectors regularly pull 4 to 6 inch megalodon teeth from the gravel runs. Not occasionally, regularly. But here's what nobody told you. The phosphate matrix is still actively eroding into the river right now, releasing fresh material every time it rains. Spot 10 takes us deep into central Florida, to a name most people outside the collecting world have never heard, and inside it, the most coveted address in the state. Rucks Pit, near Fort Drum in Okeechobee County, a privately owned pit that has produced more of Florida's official state stone than anywhere else on Earth. The Florida State Stone is agatized coral, fossilized coral, where the original structure was replaced, over 40 to 50 million years, by agate. A gemstone. The coral polyp patterns are preserved in perfect detail inside the stone. Cut and polish it, and you see the original reef structure in tan, brown, deep red, and orange tones, frozen in time. Specimens from Rucks Pit have ended up in museum collections around the world. The pit is privately owned. Always check current access before visiting. But the fact that a small pit in Okeechobee County sits at the center of the global agatized coral collecting world is the kind of Florida secret the tourism board has completely missed. But here's what nobody told you. The same agatized coral erodes naturally out of limestone elsewhere in the state, including a place near the top of this list. Spot 9 pulls you north into Upper Florida, where the Suwannee River cuts through Columbia, Hamilton, Suwannee, and Dixie counties, eroding Eocene and Miocene limestone and releasing material onto sandbars accumulated over thousands of years. Shark teeth, ray teeth, horse teeth, deer antler fragments, bone. The variety reflects how many different eras of Florida's biological history converge in a single riverbed. The real difference at the Suwannee is the springs. Florida's spring systems pump crystal clear water out of the limestone at a constant 68 degrees, and where those springs feed the river, visibility stretches to 20 or 30 feet. Fossil divers have recovered intact marine mammal bones from spring-fed pools along this system. The limestone riverbed is the geological record. You are not standing near ancient history. You are standing on it. The floor of that river is the floor of a sea that existed 40 million years ago. If that just blew your mind, every subscriber is automatically entered in our monthly giveaway for a branded hoodie. Details in the description. But here's what nobody told you. The river keeps cutting deeper every year, exposing fresh material no collector has ever touched. Spot 8 runs parallel to the Suwannee in geography and geology, but it's less famous, less crowded, and for the right collector, that makes it better. The Withlacoochee River, cutting through Citrus, Hernando, and Marion counties. Same Miocene limestone geology. Same fossil-bearing gravel bars. Same potential for shark teeth, dugong rib fragments, which are ancient manatee relatives, horse teeth, and tapir remains. The Withlacoochee runs through Withlacoochee State Forest, multiple free public boat ramps, no permits required, and far fewer people working the sandbars on any given weekend. Local knowledge is the currency here. Which bends concentrate material, which gravel bars are productive versus barren. That information lives in regional fossil clubs and nowhere else. Not online, not in any guidebook. The Withlacoochee rewards the collector who does the legwork. But here's what nobody told you. Some of the best sandbars are reachable only by kayak, around bends most casual visitors never navigate, which means they haven't been picked over in years. Spot 7 brings us to North Florida, built on one of the most important pieces of geology in the state. Alachua County, home to Gainesville and the Florida Museum of Natural History, which holds one of the largest fossil collections in the eastern United States. The geology here is called the Ocala Platform, an ancient limestone dome that brings very old rock unusually close to the surface. The Thomas Farm fossil site in nearby Gilchrist County is one of the most important Miocene mammal localities in North America. Horses, rhinoceros relatives, saber-toothed cats, all from 15 to 18 million years ago, more than 3 times the age of the earliest human ancestors, pulled from North Florida limestone. Local creek beds and road cuts occasionally expose chert nodules and fossilized bone. The Ocala National Forest has areas where legal surface collecting is permitted. Verify rules before going. But here's what nobody told you. The Thomas Farm discoveries directly influenced scientific understanding of how mammals migrated across North America, and it all came from a county most people have never heard of. Spot 6 drops us into the river systems of Southwest Florida, into phosphate country that has made this corner of the state legendary. The Manatee River, the Myakka River, waterways draining one of the world's most phosphate-rich geological zones. What washes into the river systems here includes megalodon teeth, ground sloth remains, horse fossils, and something that stops most people cold. Camel fossils. Camels. In Florida. Ancient camels evolved in North America and roamed the Florida peninsula. Giant ground sloths the size of pickup trucks. Gomphotheras, ancient elephant relatives with 4 tusks, walked the same ground where strip malls now stand. The Florida peninsula was a seafloor, then a savanna, then a forest, then a seafloor again. Each version left something behind. But here's what nobody told you. The phosphate matrix here is still actively eroding into the river today, releasing material no collector has ever seen. Spot 5 breaks the river pattern entirely and drops us into a major American city where fossil hunting happens in a public park surrounded by urban development. Ballast Point Park in Tampa, on Hillsborough Bay, where Oligocene-age limestone erodes directly into the water. Oligocene, roughly 30 to 33 million years ago. The limestone erodes continuously, releasing shark teeth of multiple species into the tide zone. Storm events are the collector's best friend at Ballast Point. When a significant storm churns up the bottom of Hillsborough Bay, the beach can be covered in fossil teeth the next morning. Free, public, no permit. This area was producing fossils in the 19th century, long before Tampa was a major city. In a metro area of 3 million people, where every square mile has been developed and redeveloped, the geological record is still breaking the surface. Geology doesn't stop for zoning laws. But here's what nobody told you. Post-storm walks at Ballast Point after a major weather system can be as productive as any spot on this list. Spot 4 takes us into the Green Swamp and surrounding Withlacoochee State Forest, Hernando, Pasco, Sumter, and Lake counties, the geographic heart of the Florida Peninsula. Florida chert country. Chert is flint, the same material Native Americans quarried and knapped into tools and arrowheads here for thousands of years. In the Green Swamp, chert nodules weather out of the underlying limestone and appear in creek beds and forest floors. Some pieces display natural banding and translucency that puts them squarely in agate territory. The region also produces scattered petrified wood, trees replaced by silica over millions of years, preserving wood grain in stone. The chert represents some of the oldest exposed rock in peninsular Florida. State forest land means public access. Check Florida Forest Service rules for collecting guidelines. But here's what nobody told you. The limestone formations that produce this chert are the same foundations of the Floridan Aquifer, the underground water system supplying drinking water to millions of Floridians right now. Spot 3 brings us to Southwest Florida, and one of the most paleontologically significant river formations in North America. The Caloosahatchee River, running through Lee and Glades counties. The Caloosahatchee Formation is one of the richest Pliocene fossil deposits on the continent, 2 to 5 million years old, from a time when Florida supported vast subtropical savanna, mastodons, mammoths, giant armadillos the size of Volkswagen Beetles, giant ground sloths, extinct horses, all concentrated in a formation the river cuts through in multiple places. Most access requires private land permission or scientific permits, but river gravels at public access points contain washout material, fragments that have tumbled free into gravel bars where recreational collecting is possible. Paleontologists have worked this area for over a century and still haven't reached the bottom of what's there. But here's what nobody told you. Sections of this formation have received almost no scientific attention at all, and the river keeps exposing more of it every year. Spot 2 is where fossil hunting becomes something else entirely, closer to swimming through time in real life. Crystal River, Citrus County, where spring-fed waters maintain visibility up to 30 feet year-round at a constant 68 degrees. On that limestone bottom, exposed Eocene and Miocene rock 40 to 50 million years old, fossil teeth and bone fragments sit in plain sight, waiting to be spotted by anyone floating above them. Fossil divers working legal collecting areas here have recovered intact marine mammal bones from ancient Sirenia, creatures whose descendants still swim these same waters as modern manatees. You are snorkeling over the bones of animals that lived 40 million years ago, in water shared with the living descendants of their closest evolutionary relatives. 68 degrees, crystal clear, open year-round, the most otherworldly fossil hunting experience in Florida. But here's what nobody told you. On a quiet weekday morning in winter, before the tour boats arrive, some stretches of the Crystal River feel like the most remote place in the state, less than 90 minutes from Tampa. Spot 1. The best spot on this list. The most underexplored fossil and mineral coastline in Florida, and one of the most underexplored in the entire eastern United States. The Big Bend Salt Marshes Aquatic Preserve. Taylor, Jefferson, Wakulla, and Dixie counties, the crook of Florida's Gulf Coast where the Panhandle meets the peninsula. Wild. Mostly undeveloped. Miles of shallow salt marsh and exposed limestone shoreline cutting through some of the most ancient geology in the state. The exposed Eocene and Oligocene limestone here, 30 to 50 million years old, is studded with agatized coral, fossil shells, shark teeth, and bones from ancient sea cows eroding directly out of the shoreline. Fewer collectors have worked this coastline than any other productive location in Florida. Access requires a kayak or shallow draft boat. In some stretches, agatized coral is not buried. It is eroding naturally out of limestone bluffs into the shallows, breaking loose in pieces you can lift from the water's surface. Free, legal on public preserve land. Barely touched. And if today reminded you that the unexpected is always closer than you think, grab your free disaster preparedness toolkit. The link is in the description. Here's what all 12 places have in common. None of them required a mining company. None of them required a drill rig or $1 million permit. A beach, a river, a salt marsh at low tide. That's all it took to put 50-million-year-old gemstones in your hand. And that raises a question worth sitting with. We build theme parks on top of this. We pave shopping centers over it. We retire to beachfront condos a quarter mile from the shark-toothed capital of the world without ever bending down to look. What does it say about us that we live on top of one of the most extraordinary geological archives on the planet, and the most common response is to keep driving? Maybe nothing. Or maybe it says the most astonishing things on Earth are never where we're told to look for them. Florida has been hiding in plain sight for 50 million years. The question isn't whether the treasures are there. They are. The question is whether you're going to be the person who finally looks down.